Happy Football Friday, everyone. Rick Henry here in Columbia, Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston, Carmine Jamay in Greenville. And also, happy Halloween. Now, we're going to talk high school football, the big games in all of our markets. And here in the Midlands, I'm calling this the game of the week of the century. It's a 1-2 matchup between two heated rivals, Irmo and Dutch Fork. Irmo is number one. Tonight they're hosting number 2, Dutch Fork. Now, these two have been 1-2 in my rankings all season long. Dutch Fork, the three-time defending 5A state champs, had a 22-week streak as the number one team snap when they were upset last month by Oceanside Collegiate. The Foxes are 7-1. They're also number 3 in the statewide 5A poll. Irmo took over the top spot in our Midlands top 10 in week 5. The Yellow Jackets are 9-0, and they're also number 1 in the state rankings. The two head coaches have a long history. Irmo's Aaron Brand worked as an assistant under Tom Knotts, Dutch Fork's head man, when Knotts was the head coach at Independence High in Charlotte. The two are rivals now, but they remain good friends.
I actually root for him when he's not playing us, and I don't know if Dutch Fork's allowed to root for Irmo, but I'm not from here, so I can root for whoever I want to. So I root for my friend when we're not playing them, and I always hope he does well.
And my good friend AB over there, who called me out on Twitter or whatever that stuff is, he called me out. So maybe he's not my good friend, but I'm looking forward to it.
How did he call you out?
He said, tell TK, we're gonna win the game. We expect to win the game.
Okay, well, what's your message to him?
I don't have a real message. You're still my friend, buddy. You can talk crap all you want, but the talk is going to be done on Friday night.
Oh yeah, it is going to be a good one. Tom Knotts, Aaron Brand. Kevin, what's shaking your way?
Oh, we've got some good stuff here as well, Rick. We had, like we said, about half of our games were played last night because everyone moved things up because of Halloween and some security issues. But still have some good games tonight, including, you mentioned that Oceanside team that handed Dutch Fork a loss earlier this season. They are back in action tonight trying to win a region championship. They go on the road to Orangeburg-Wilkinson, a team that is still undefeated on this season. Should be a great matchup. Oceanside coming in at 7-2. They've been putting up huge numbers since they got into region play. Big wins over Hanahan, North Charleston. Everyone else in that region is really just a notch below Hanahan and Orangeburg-Wilkinson. So really excited to see how this one shakes out tonight. Head coach Brent LaPrade talked to us last night about what he's expecting in this game.
Get the ball down the field, get it in our big guys' hands and those playmakers and let them make some plays.
They got a lot of good athletes. They do a pretty well job being coached over there. So I feel like we just got to stick to what we do and make sure they don't outplay us and we don't beat ourselves.
That right there was quarterback Aiden Manavian, who's been just lighting things up this entire season. One of the favorites to win the Live 5 Player of the Year, which will come out some point in the middle of December. Carmine, what's going on up in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, guys, well, I'm here for another game of the week, which is Clemson hosting Duke in the homecoming. You see behind me the wonderful pomping, incredible effort, and perseverance by the students here for the Tigers at Tigerama, preparing for a big celebration later tonight. And, I mean, just the perseverance with all the wet weather we've had. I'm standing in mud right here, but that's the Palmetto Sports Daily perseverance as well, guys. And as far as our high school game of the week, it's a big one in the smallest class single A, but it's Abbeville at Ware Shoals for the region championship. The final game for both teams' regular seasons. They're both undefeated, 4-0. In the region, so the winner of this one wins the region. And for Abbeville, they're coming off their 9th state title under their head coach, Jamie Nichols, just last season. But over there in Abbeville, they don't rebuild, they just reload. So they're ready to roll. They're 7-2. Ware Shoals is 9-0, very small, tight-knit, loving, warm community in Ware Shoals. I've been up there, and they're hosting Abbeville. But as far as Abbeville's 2 losses, they might as well be undefeated because they only lost to Powdersville, which is a Class 3A team, and the only other loss is to Westside, a Class 4A team, and like I mentioned, they're Class A. So basically the battle of 2 undefeated teams right here for the region championship in Class A should be a very exciting matchup later tonight.
All right, now over in the Myrtle Beach area, they've got a great game of the week coming up as well. Tegan Brown has a preview of that.
It is High School Football Friday on Halloween, of course. I hope you can guess who I'm dressed as, guys. If you can't, go watch a cartoon. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, our extra point game of the week is all about Hartsville traveling to South Florence for the Region 5 Class 4A title. Both of these teams are undefeated in region play, and they're both looking for a win. Now, South Florence was the one to end Hartsville's season last year in the playoffs, so it is a big battle, and it's definitely become a challenge for both teams.
I think that South Florence and Hartsville's become, a little bit of a rivalry. I think that they're got certainly the team on our schedule who has our full attention, at the beginning of every year. And so, I think it'll be a great game. Both sides are really good, and that's why we're going to play the game.
I mean, they have great players. They're coached extremely well. They're a tough football bunch, and they play hard. And all those things came up in both those games. So I don't think there's any surprises between the two of us. Obviously, like I said, they're having a phenomenal season, and they are a great football team. And, it's quite a challenge.
All right, thanks so much, Tegan. So that should be another good one as well. Now, as I mentioned, we actually had games here in the Low Country last night, almost a dozen games, including our game of the week, as Wando took on Beckham over in Mount Pleasant. These two schools just a couple of miles apart since Beckham opened about 5 years ago. This is the fourth matchup they've had between the two teams, and Beckham really took control of the first two seasons, taking the first two games they ever had against Wando. Wando came back last year and got their first ever victory over Beckham. They meet again last night. Beckham builds up a big-size lead, and they go on for a 31-14 victory here, going through the air early. But it's really their fullback, Jack LaMonica, who's been doing an amazing job so far this season here, gets in for the touchdown. He would have another one later, also added a two-point conversion. Really led the way for the Bengals to go on for the 31-14 victory as they get ready now for the postseason in 5A Division II.
We wanted to come out and establish the line of scrimmage, dominance on the line of scrimmage for the offensive line and defensive line, and that's what our kids did. I'm very, very proud of them. We worked all off season in the weight room to get to this point, to be a physical football team, and that's what we showed tonight. Oh, I like everything. I mean, we're healthy. I think we're healthy, and everything is just clicking. It's working right now. So, we're going to make a strong push, and we're going to do it all together.
Wando, despite the loss, because of the breakup of the divisions in Class 5A, still has a chance to make the postseason as well. Those brackets should be released, if not tomorrow, then sometime early on Sunday. We're just getting going here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be back with some college football right after this. And welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We move over to college football, where we had action last night as well as Coastal Carolina going under the lights to take on Marshall. And Coastal really seems like they're on a roll right now because they got another victory last night, winning this one 44-27, actually coming back from down 10 at 2 different points in that second quarter. They were down at the half, but they really turned things on in that second half, especially the third quarter, where they put up 3 touchdowns en route to a victory. Samaria Collier really seems like he is the guy for Coastal Carolina going forward. He would throw 2 touchdown passes, also ran for 2 touchdowns in. Never mind this pick 6 that he threw early on in the first half. That one ended up not mattering. But Coastal really looks like they've got things together. They're now 5-3 overall, 4-1 in the Sun Belt. They're just a game back of first place James Madison, who they'll play the last week of the regular season. And guys, perhaps the most important thing was they had glow-in-the-dark jerseys coming in for the night game last night against Marshall, which, if you didn't see those online, those were a lot of fun. Coastal doing an amazing job with the game day experience on top of everything else. When you add in the free food they've got, the glow-in-the-dark jerseys, what do they have at halftime? The Medieval Times display going on during halftime with the mascot fighting in medieval times. So just a lot of good stuff going on at Coastal, and the team seems to be catching up to what everyone else is doing right now, Rick.
Yeah, those glow-in-the-dark jerseys, they did look pretty cool, and I must say, the Chanticleers look pretty impressive, and Gamecock fans may be sweating a little bit if they watched that last night because, Coastal put on quite a show. Good environment, good atmosphere, and Carmine, I'm going to have to get down there and try out that free concessions deal.
Hey, Rick, you know what I say? If it's free, it's for me. That's always the phrase that I go with. But especially if you're getting a win as well, that's a nice consolation, too. And speaking of sweating things out, that's what Clemson fans have been doing the past couple weeks, waiting for the status of their usual starting quarterback, Cade Klubnik, because you'll recall a few weeks ago he injured that ankle in the Boston College win. Then he sat out for the first time in 35 games. He was the starter for 34 games in a row. For the Tigers, Christopher Vezina came in as a replacement, went for 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns. Looked pretty good against SMU despite the loss, especially in the second half. Then the bye week to rest up, and now Cade Klubnik is listed on the first injury report of the week, which just came out last night, as probable, meaning that he's probably going to play, which would be a great sign because this could be a shootout in the homecoming matchup hosting Duke right here tomorrow in Tigertown. Here's Coach Dabo Swinney just yesterday with an update on his starting quarterback, Cade Klubnik, and how many snaps that have been divvied up between Cade and the backup, Christopher Vezina.
How much has Cade been able to practice the last 2 nights?
Good amount. He's getting better each day. Proud of him.
With Cade trying to get back and get him to play Saturday, how much reps is Christopher getting? Was he getting with first team reps and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, our first 2 quarterbacks, they get the same reps. You know, our first and second group, we rep 2 groups, and you know, sometimes we will interchange guys, you know, accordingly and get some crossover with the 1s and the 2s. But you know, he's gotten a lot of reps.
So good sign there for Cade Klubnik on the mend and probably going to play and start at quarterback back where, you know, his usual spot has been for the past 3 seasons. So good sign for them, especially when Duke comes in with Darian Mensah, who leads the country in passing yards per game, 315. They'll need all the firepower that they can get on offense because the secondary for the Tigers has been a weakness. So they'll have to keep up scoring-wise in what I think, Kevin, could be a high-scoring game hosting Duke here for homecoming.
Yeah, Carmine, I'm curious. I'm sure Dabo didn't say anything about this last night, but do you think Klubnik's leash will be a little bit shorter going into this game because of the way Vezina played last week when he got an opportunity, put up some big numbers? We know now, you know, he's at least competent there behind center. So do you think if Klubnik struggles early, they make a change, or do you think they stick with their guy going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin. And he did mention not exactly about the leash part, but he did mention about the confidence growing with Christopher Vezina. I mean, he looked really good, especially on the deep ball, looked comfortable, like I said, in the second half. First half, a little shaky. So I think especially if Cade shows signs of the ankle not being 100%, then you could have a lot more confidence in Vezina, a lot more than you would have had previously before you saw his success, Rick, against SMU in the last game.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how that shakes out for the Tigers. And the Gamecocks, like the Tigers, a lot of, let's just say, unpleasant topics to talk about. But Shane Beamer did find something that he could really talk about that didn't cause him much stress at all. Hey, the Gamecocks could be picking up a new nickname. How about Night Owls? They're going to play under the lights for the 6th time this season Saturday when they play at 7th-ranked Ole Miss. That kickoff time is 7 p.m. And now 5 of Carolina's first 7 SEC games, counting Ole Miss, have been scheduled for prime time. At the final conference matchup at Texas A&M is slated for an early broadcast window. The exact start time for that hasn't been announced. And head coach Shane Beamer says it's an honor to play under the lights again on national television.
That national television, number 7 team in the country, on the road at night in their stadium, Halloween weekend on national television again. It's a great spotlight, and a lot of people are going to be watching because it's the SEC. I know you guys have all seen it just in regards to TV ratings with the SEC compared to other conferences. Like, it's not even a comparison right now, the SEC TV ratings compared to other leagues. So, you know, eyes are going to be on you, and what an opportunity to put, you know, our team on display, our culture on display, you guys as individuals on display, and we embrace that, and it's an awesome opportunity. It sure beats, you know, not being on national television and playing a team that you know, there's not going to be a lot of eyeballs on.
And it's Halloween weekend. Kevin, do you think it's going to be a case of tricks or treats for USC and Oxford?
I don't know. Well, actually, I'll say with Lane Kiffin, there probably will be a lot of tricks coming out of the Ole Miss offense. we've been talking about this gauntlet of a schedule that Carolina has been running over these past few weeks, and it just gets harder and harder. This week with Ole Miss, next week with Texas A&M. The law of averages says they got to win one of these 5 games, but I don't know which one it's going to be, and they're down to the last 2. So no, it's just not going to happen, Carmine.
No, I think there will be some tricks and treats for Ole Miss. I think they trick the Gamecocks defense, and I think they're treated to a win in Oxford, unfortunately, for the Gamecocks. But we'll be right back with a team that's trying to come back after a great start, the Carolina Panthers, and the status of their quarterback, Bryce Young, in just a moment. Hey guys, welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We talked about high school, college, now we go to pro football, and some optimistic and positive news for the Carolina Panthers because their quarterback Bryce Young, after sitting out last game with an ankle sprain, is not having any injury designation for this upcoming Sunday, going at Lambeau Field, his first trip to Lambeau to play against the Green Bay Packers. That'll be a very difficult test, but it's good news, of course, because he's back healthy, and his replacement, the 15-year veteran Andy Dalton, did not look very good. It was actually kind of sad out there hosting the Buffalo Bills and losing 40-9 in the last game, which snapped the 3-game winning streak that Bryce Young had helped build up for the Carolina Panthers, but now headed to face Rick's old friend, Micah Parsons. He's a big Cowboys fan, but now Micah on the other side with the Green Bay Packers. But here's Bryce Young yesterday before this designation came out, speaking about his health and how ready he feels to take back the starting QB job at the Packers.
Yeah, feel good. Again, obviously I'm going to default to the doctors. I'm a competitor. I want to go out there and be with my brothers. So I'm doing everything I can. Just want to go out there and compete. And then, at the end of the day, the doctors will make the decision.
Do you feel like you could play Sunday?
I take it day to day, and today was a good day. I felt good today. I continue to feel better and better. So again, I'm listening to the doctors. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to play. I want to play, of course. But I don't have a medical degree, so I'm gonna default to them.
Well, the default to the doctor said nothing wrong. Bryce Young, go right ahead. So no medical degree needed, no additional schooling. Hoping to school the Green Bay Packers, though, on Sunday. But I think this is a big relief for those Panthers fans. And, Rick, your thoughts on how much Bryce Young really means, because we saw with him not out there, I don't know if they would have beat the Bills, giving up 40 points, of course, but he has to mean something for that offense.
Well, since the Panthers beat my Cowboys, in their last 2 games, they've combined to score 1 touchdown. So if it's Bryce Young, if it's Andy Dalton, I don't know if it's going to make any difference at all against Green Bay. But I'm sure the fans would rather see Bryce out there because Andy Dalton he looked lost. I know he suffered a thumb injury early on, but you expect more from a veteran. So I'm picking Green Bay this week.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest test the Panthers have had, probably since they took on the Patriots a little over a month ago. You look at that 3-game win streak Carmine was talking about. You're getting wins over the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the Jets. Really none of the Titans of the NFL at this point. And then they come back and play a good Bills team and they get throttled. Whether or not Andy Dalton or Bryce Young was a big reason for that is beside the point. They still lost by 30-plus points. So I'm really curious to see if Bryce Young is back in the lineup, which it appears like he's going to be, how he reacts to going up against a pretty solid Packers defense, like you said, led by Micah Parsons, who's going to put pressure on the quarterback. And, if that ankle's not 100%, it's going to be tough to see how he gets away from all that pressure, Carmine.
Yeah, great point. And we got a couple of the big Carolina State quarterbacks. We got Cade Klubnik coming back from an ankle, Bryce Young coming back from an ankle. So we'll see how it plays out this weekend. But our locks of the week are guaranteed winners, especially for Kevin. He's still undefeated, coming up right after this short break.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. It's a football Friday, and every football Friday we wrap up the show with our locks of the week. When it comes to college football, hey, I'm looking at this Vanderbilt-Texas game. Vanderbilt has been rolling along, but you know what? I think it comes to an end. I think Arch Manning is going to have a good game. Texas needs a good game at this point in the ceiling, so I'm going with Texas over Vanderbilt. I don't mind jumping into the deep end while Kevin continues just to wet his ankles in the kiddie pool. Carmine.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Rick, I'm not going to go quite as spicy as your hot take there. That is a little risky, although I'm not going to go all the way into dipping the ankles into the kiddie pool like the Coastal Comrades, Tegan Brown and Kevin Bilodeau, who pick, so-and-so Titan to beat Northwest, Southeast, Arkansas Tech, every single week. But anyway, I'm going to pick a little spicy one, guys. I'm going to go with Ole Miss locking the win over South Carolina. Gamecocks have lost 5 out of their last 6. Ole Miss is rolling as the 7th-ranked team in the country. And at home in Oxford at night, Kevin, I just don't see the Gamecocks getting the win there.
Oh, is it time for the only undefeated person to make his pick? Oh, I guess it is. That'd be me. I'm going to stay undefeated. I'm taking Notre Dame to go over Boston College this week. Another former NFL head coach leading an ACC team is going to fall this week at home. Also want to mention Tegan Brown. She goes out on a limb as well. She takes number 2 Indiana to beat Maryland this week. So take a look at our picks one more time. Notre Dame over Boston College. Indiana over Maryland for Tegan. Rick takes Texas over Vanderbilt. Carmine, who's betraying me from the upstate, it takes Ole Miss over the South Carolina Gamecocks. That's going to do it for Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll see if I'm still talking to Carmine this weekend. Everyone have a great rest of your weekend.